Beautiful. Tim Brando joining us now on the Bobby V hotline as we can talk some college football, maybe a little college basketball. And Tim Brando joins us now from Fox Sports. He's one of the best in the business over the last 40 years. Woo. Brando, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I couldn't be much better. Are you kidding? It's a great time of the season, fellas. It's good to be with both of you. And look, batten down the hatches, alert the women and children, the grandkids, make sure that they're up late on Saturday, December the 7th, 7 p.m. I've got Tennessee and Iowa, and then I've got Louisville and UConn women.
Ooh.
This is women now at Barclays. Okay, I got Tennessee and Illinois, and so we got 4 of them. Got 4 games to do on December the 7th. And
so you're busy. You're busy right now.
I got 4 teams to do, and 4 teams to do, 2 games to do. Tennessee, Iowa, Louisville, UConn. I got a little ahead of myself. Got a little too excited. And then I'll, as far as the men go, the first one I've got is January the 7th, Georgetown. So I'm hoping to, get to Gamble and back up to the XL Center. I can't imagine, as much as I basically took up residence without having to pay those god-awful Connecticut taxes last year. I was there so much. But unless the natives were tired of this Southern guy, that was a Benedict Arnold and left the 4-letter network long before most of them were born, and moved back home to Louisiana. I think I've still got enough friends in the Nutmeg State that they'll let me back in. I hope so anyway.
Sure, for sure. Early returns for you, sir, on college basketball. I know we're only a week and a half in, but what do you think so far on some of these top teams and top players?
Oh, I love the game between Carolina and Kansas. I think that, is Dickinson going to be at KU and in college basketball longer than Manute Bol was in the NBA?
Yes.
He's back to the basket 7-footers. There's no place for him in the league, apparently. Until you can hit a face the basket 30-footer, they don't want you anywhere near their god awful game. So you got to stay in college for 25 years to play in the low high post, so to speak, of college basketball. I was like, my God, he's still out there. Dickinson, wasn't he at Michigan for like 8 years, and now he's at Kansas for
correct.
His 9th. This must be his 9th year at Kansas. Anyway, look, it's going to be a great season. I do think Connecticut is poised to win 3 in a row. I do, until I see someone that I feel has a chance to be in their ballpark. I'm going to stay with them. And by the way, also tell Danny Hurley that I definitely want and need, if not magnificent pictures of me in the brochure, which I think I earned at least 1 or 2. Don't you think? My God, I did more Connecticut games than anybody. I propped them up all the way through the Big East tournament. But I also need a letter jacket. I need a letter jacket. I want a UConn letter jacket. Not asking for a lot.
We'll work on that.
Jacket.
Okay.
Pass that along. Okay.
We talk to the AD every week, so we'll talk to David Benedict about that.
I like Dave. I think Dave likes me. But I saw him. Listen, I was at the Big East tournament. I'm downstairs at the hotel. I won't tell you the name of the hotel. And he's talking to our suits. He's talking to our suits. And I'm at the bar getting a breakfast by myself, lonely as hell. Nobody bothered to ask me over. I was a little bit upset that the suits didn't invite me. Right. And then I get over there, he's talking to them. So they had no room for the announcer. I was alone at a bar, eating some bad hash browns and some eggs that were supposed to be soft scrambled, and they were as hard as a rock. But, tell him I said hello. I like Dave a lot.
All right, let's go back to some college football real quick. I know the rankings are going to come out tonight. It looks like you're going to have 2 or 3 teams with 2 losses in the top 12. Is that the way this playoffs format is supposed to work?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that those teams with 2 losses are really good teams, and their schedules were immense. And right now, I think a couple of those teams with 2 losses look awfully good. Ole Miss and Alabama in that order, based on what happened just recently. But we do have brand bias still at work, and there's no getting around it. By example, Georgia will be overrated because they're Georgia, and they just got their clocks cleaned by Ole Miss. I mean, Mississippi just beat them from stem to stern, from beginning to end. And of course, Alabama went into Baton Rouge where it's never supposed to rain on Saturday night. Well, it rained hard on that Saturday night, and Jalen Milroe, who got 155 last year against them in Tuscaloosa, went for 185. LSU is still trying to defend the quarterback counter and the quarterback draw because that's all Alabama had to run to beat their Tiger ass. It was really, really a difficult watch for many in my home state. Trust me. Brian Kelly, who I have defended after just about every one of his defeats, had an indefensible loss of mammoth proportions in that game. I'll be interested to see how that team responds mentally against Florida. You know, Florida, and granted, the Gators got their clocks cleaned last week.
Yeah, I watched that game.
They had been playing really well up until that point. Until they went to Texas, they looked really good, could have beaten Georgia. That was part of what happened, I think, to Florida in that game against Texas was early game against the Texas team that had to win impressively. But Florida's playing better, and Lagway, the quarterback, that is really one of the reasons Billy Napier's not going to lose his job. About 70% of the NIL money that has been spent on really outstanding young talent Florida's got is all tied to Billy, and that's why he's going to keep his job. I think he should keep his job. They may be problems. They may offer a lot of problems for LSU this week. So keep that. That's a possible upset alert you might want to keep your eye on. But yeah, to answer your question specifically about two lost teams, I think 2 is gettable. 3 I thought might be, but it won't be this year. And the reason is too many teams are undefeated that have great stories and that have earned the right to be where they are. Indiana is underrated, and people say, "Oh, Brando, they haven't beaten anybody." Wait a minute. Whoa, hey, hang on a second. Who's Texas really beaten? They beat Michigan at Michigan, I'll give you that. But other than the Michigan win, where's their impressive win? They lost at home to Georgia. Okay. Where's Penn State's big win? Okay. I think you got to work hard to find it. There is brand bias taking place here. Indiana is 10-0, fellas. And they beat Nebraska. I mean, they absolutely boat raced them. And that same Nebraska team the following week went into Columbus, Ohio, of all places, and probably should have won that game against the almighty Buckeyes of Ohio State. So Indiana, in my opinion, is for real. We're going to find that out when those two teams play. And teams like Indiana, I just saw Boise last week on the blue field, and our game was, and our rating was pretty good in the second half, thanks to LSU not defending the quarterback counter or the quarterback draw. We had a hell of a viewing on it.
I bet.
In the second half. I sent a thank you note down to the governor for putting that rented Tiger on the field. How'd that work out, Governor Landry? How'd that go? I suspect not too well. Next time, either get PETA off your ass, get the real Tiger over there, or don't bother renting a Tiger. Okay. But Boise's really good. Ashton Genty, in my mind, and I'm a voter. I'm not supposed to say who I'm voting for, but okay, I'll give Travis Hunter the nod in terms of the Bronco Nagurski approach to playing every down and all the things that he can do and the number of plays he plays for Colorado. And he may have some big highlights coming up. But, guys, Ashton Genty is Barry Sanders 2.0. I mean, he is flat out legit. And if he has rushing numbers that eclipse Barry, I don't know how he doesn't win the Heisman. I don't. He's that good. The coach of Washington State may have had the best line about Genty. And they've only lost one game, by the way. Wazoo's only lost one game, and that was to Boise State. And Genty ran roughshod over him. Jake Dickert, the coach of Washington State, said, trying to tackle Ashton Genty above his waist is like a BB gun to a Sherman tank.
Yep.
Bounce off the guy. He is so big, so strong to be so small. And he's got every move in the book. Every jump cut, every pirouette. he can make plays like Saquon Barkley's that night, jumping over a guy, with his derriere facing the guy. He can do all those things. So I like Boise as a team that not only should get in the playoff, hell, they win the rest of their games, and they might, and enough teams lose in front of them, they're going to get a home game maybe. Imagine Boise with a home game in the playoffs. That would be amazing.
Another team everyone's kind of quietly rooting for that's out of the Power Five is this Army bunch that's still undefeated. They take on Notre Dame this coming in 2 weeks. They got a week off, then they play Notre Dame. A chance to win that, and if they do beat Navy, or even a one loss, do they get any kind of nod to get in this playoff?
I don't think you can escape them. They beat Notre Dame. I mean, and let's not forget there's an Army-Navy game and the conference championship game.
Right.
So it could be they'll have all kinds of data points built up if they continue to win, fellas. And I don't know how you keep them out. I mean, that again, these are roadblocks for teams with multiple losses out of power conferences. So a 2-loss Big Ten team or a 2-loss SEC team that thinks they get in just because, hey, man, it means more in the SEC, or, hey, man, we're in the Big Ten. Haven't you kept up with our history and our lineage? I'm sorry. Army's brand trumps your brand. Pardon the pun. You get my drift.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on Army, and you were talking about Indiana. Who's just outside the top 12 that you would put in the top 12 right now?
Well, the Buffaloes are close. Colorado's getting awfully close if they keep winning, guys. I mean, if they keep winning, they are awfully close. If you look at my top 15 this week that I put out, all those teams that I have there are legitimate. I mean, they are all legit, and frankly, Kansas State is another one of those teams. If they win out, I mean, there are a lot of possibilities here we're talking about. And in my top 15 right now, just outside looking in, I have Army at 13. I've got Georgia. I've dropped Georgia to 14. Georgia has no business based on that performance to be. See, I treat Georgia and Bama just like I would treat any other team that loses and looks bad or even plays badly and wins. I dropped Oregon from number 1 to number 11 after their debacle against Eastern Washington, but nobody's playing any better than Oregon right now. But if you lose and look bad in losing, and Georgia did against Ole Miss, they had no chance in that game. So, but Army, Miami, who just dropped the game, has got to right the ship. They better get it right if they want to get in. But Colorado, Washington State is another team. If they just keep winning and enough teams lose in front of them, Kansas State, Clemson, outside shot, maybe even with the ACC, even with the second loss. These are all teams that are still kind of in the thing, but we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, the Big 12 is just so much fun to cover. Even Iowa State, who's dropped 2 in a row, is not out of it. That's who we've got. That's who Devin and I have this coming Saturday night in Ames. If they were to win their next 2, that includes Farmageddon, by the way. They play Kansas State. That's the kind of a win that could bolt them in. Who will be behind BYU to play them in the Big 12? Could BYU lose the Big 12 championship to whoever plays them? Absolutely. Absolutely. Kansas State could beat them. Iowa State could beat them. Any one of a number of teams. Colorado could beat them if they had a shot at them. So, I mean, it's anybody's guess who's going to win that league. And the ACC, tell me who's better than SMU now in the ACC. Remember that address change? Those people in Dallas and the Metroplex were like, hell, we don't even want their TV money. We're going to give all our cash to those liberals out at Berkeley and Stanford. Cardinal and the Cal Bears can have all that money. We got more money than we need. We just want a chance. We just want a chance to win. And what's SMU doing? They're playing better than anybody in the league. Lashley, the play caller at several different schools, including Auburn, recently, Rhett Lashley's had an incredible season. SMU's legit, fellas. I've got them ranked number 9. I've got them that high. And they certainly could be the team that represents the ACC if it's not Miami. So all those teams have legitimate chances. And Notre Dame better not screw up and lose to Army. because the only way they get a home game in the playoffs is if they win out. Remember, that A&M loss lingers. It's over their heads. And so a lost game to a team like Army, and Fighting Irish are in some trouble.
Gosh, dude, you're answering all my questions.
I know. We don't even get
like Heisman, all right, scratch that one. Okay, what does he think of Notre Dame? All right, scratch that. All right, here's one for you, Brando. You mentioned this just briefly, but Wazoo, Washington State, only one loss, and they are some weird anomaly, non-conference team. Like the politics for Wazoo, what does it work out for them if they win out and only have one loss?
They're probably going to get screwed, all right? But they're getting $52 million this year because of that suit they brought against the other Pac-12 teams that left for the Big Ten.
Right.
And if you recall, they won that suit.
Right.
So that gave them a 2-year opportunity to make $52 million for their athletic department. That's a nice consolation prize for not getting into playoff, don't you think?
Yeah.
So plus they can build an entire conference around them. Boise State's going to join them, by the way, and leave the Mountain West in 2026. You know about the other teams that are going in from the Mountain West.
Yep.
There was that flirtation with UConn that we all remember. But the Pac-12 situation is going to become crystal clear, I think, in the offseason. You're going to see the reformation of the Pac-12 with a very good new television deal. And whether that's, the folks with the funny ears over there in Bristol, or Rupert's son and the guys that I work for out on the left coast that get do a TV deal with them, I'm pretty sure they will, because that league will be good. That league will be solid, and they can give you some quality programming, through the nighttime on Saturdays. And if you've noticed, the ratings are up everywhere. No matter who's playing, the ratings are up. Everybody's doing great. Okay. SEC's real happy. Those fans down here are like, hell, we don't even have to change the channel. We can just stay right here, boy, right here. I don't much like that Stephen A. Smith guy, but hell, I want to watch my SEC ball right here, okay? So they're pleased. I guarantee you the Big Ten fans just absolutely love what Fox has done by cranking it up with Big Noon and then having nothing but Tiffany networks all day. You got CBS, and their production looks great. Gary and Brad are doing a super job. And then you've got, and by the way, SEC fans are so pissed that CBS was never going to give up that music, okay? They were never going to give up that music for that was our song. Well, sorry, you can't have that. And of course the NBC primetime games have done very well for them to go along with their package with Notre Dame. So, the saturation of exposure for the Big Ten on 3 over-the-air networks, not even on cable. They got 3, okay, before you even get to FS1 and the Big Ten network. They've got 3 games, from noon, 11 Central, noon, all the way through prime time. And they're cashing a bigger check than even the SEC. So everybody's happy. They just need more inventory. And coming up, the big story now, fellas, is how many more teams are they going to put in the playoffs in 26? Because based on the revenue share that is going to come into play in 2026, everybody's pinching their pennies, even with all the money they're making, so they can save up to pay off the players, which is what they're going to have to do. And that's great, because hopefully it'll end some of this asinine stuff that's happening off the field with collectives in the NIL. And oh, by the way, for my liberal friends up on the East Coast, sorry it didn't work out for you, but now you have one party in charge of all 3 branches of government, and I think we will get some legislation now to curtail some of the wild, wild west in college football with the transfer portal.
You're the best, Brando. Thank you so much for your time, big man, and safe travels to you. I know this is a really busy part of your season.
Did I cover it all for you? Did we get it taken care of?
Dude, you covered everything.
We'll get to basketball one of these days.
Yeah.
We will. I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right.
May your
Thank you, Tim.
Be kind the rest of your life. May your iron be kind.
All right, we'll be checking you out on Fox Sports. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
You got it. Bye-bye.
All right. Dibbles and Bits is next. We'll be right back.